Well, hello and welcome again to the Old Bob Show. And no, that's not Old Bob you're looking at. It might be my guest, who is Matt Keuler, and we're going to talk to today. He's an exciting man. He's a ski jumper, a combined skier of 15 years. He's a judge on skiing, and most of all, he is here to promote the 92nd annual Snowflake Ski Jumps. And very nice to have you on board.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
You betcha,
Appreciate
Matt.
the opportunity.
You bet, Matt. I'm looking at this, and that's exciting. This ski jump, for all of you who are looking at Channel 14, will be this weekend. It starts on January 30th and ends on January 31st. And the Friday and opening ceremonies are at 7 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm sorry, 7 o'clock at night.
In the evening. We have an evening jump.
You do. And
Yep.
you have the lights and all of that going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we started that about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was really to draw people in, because a lot of times what ended up happening on our Sunday tournaments, everybody wanted to watch the Super Bowl, because it always turned out to be. So we decided we're going to move this up a day and have a great atmosphere for people to come out, enjoy the evening, enjoy the winter after a day of work.
Well, that's really a good. That's a great weekend. I think that weekend, this coming weekend, I know will be more satisfying than this past weekend, which is a bummer. I mean, I'm still kind of in shock about that, Matt. But let's put all that aside, the past and the back, and we're looking at the future. You've got quite a record, 15 years as a combined jumper and skier. Does that mean downhill and cross country and?
Well, I was a Nordic combined skier, which is one of the pieces of the competition was to be on the ski jump. And being able to and then take those points off the jump, and then we would go run a cross country ski race after that.
Well, and you started at what age?
I started when I was 7.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you
Been
started
with it for a while.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, but look, you've now advanced to become a judge and a trainer. What's involved in training for something like this weekend's downhill?
Well, for the senior tournament like this, so when we're looking at the senior tournament, they've been doing this for a good number of years. They have been practicing. The sport is all about repetition. So what ends up happening is they have really put their stuff together, and
go ahead.
No, they've really, and they've been practicing for a very long time. But if we were looking at some of the smaller hills, then we're just getting kids out to ski.
Sure. What, in your estimation, is this going to be the very best ski event ever since it started?
Well, we have a great opportunity this year, because this past summer they redesigned the whole landing hill on this hill. So that's going to allow for actually longer jumps. So therefore we can actually get a better quality tournament. There's going to be a lot longer jumps. Get the crowd excited. It'll be a really good time.
Oh, I think so. And of course, on that Friday night at 7 p.m., you have a lot of lights out there, and you got crowds. And what else is being added there on the opening ceremony?
Well, we recognize the people that are important in the club. I mean, one of the big things is this is an entirely volunteer organization, and this is the only club in the entire country that has a hill this size that has an entirely volunteer organization. The hill crew down there is absolutely fantastic. These guys bust their butt across for the months prior to the jump to ensure that this is ready to go.
Absolutely.
So it's recognition of them. It's also going to be recognition of the people that are there and our sponsors, people that are really trying to help us with get this show presentable for everyone, so everybody can enjoy the evening.
We had a guest on about 2-3 weeks ago. Buzz Schrader was here. Yeah, exactly.
Buzz is he's the president of the club, so we work a lot with him very frequently.
Well, when he was here, I was saying, well, Buzz, is there somebody else that we can talk to? And I think he mentioned you. But he was kind of shocked being on the camera all by himself, but he did really well. And I know Buzz well, and he's just a fine young man, and he's made great contributions here. So now that safety and security for all the people who worry about that sort of thing, that's taken care of. You've got
Oh, we've got law enforcement personnel that are, going through the crowds and just ensuring everybody's having a good time and acting appropriately and taking care of situations that are not above board. So no, it's a very safe and very enjoyable atmosphere to come down and enjoy with the family. Friday's kind of looked at as kind of the party night, but Saturday is more the family focused day, and it's a really really great place to bring your kids because it's winter.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, the thing that I found really exciting about this whole event when we moved here about 6 years ago was the idea that you were going to have people from Norway here, maybe, and Japan and other countries. Is that going to happen this year?
Well, this year we have a number of countries coming. Japan is not one of them. They have like the furthest to go.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to get them pulled in here. But we're still in discussions with Norway, and just to finalize that travel.
What does that mean in discussions with Norway?
In discussion, well, it's that whole organization of travel piece, and there's a lot more to it. But we also have Finland, and then we also have Slovenia coming.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if the Finns come here, the Norsk's better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I completely agree.
Is there any guarantee that we'll have honest to goodness, authentic Norwegians here this year?
It's definitely a possibility.
Excellent.
Definitely
Excellent.
a possibility.
Are they a problem when they come here? Or?
No, they love this town. It's the only place one of the few places that they ever get to go ski jump where it's like, hey, this is just like home.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? I think it's such a significant, if you will, that a little town like Westby, 4,000, something like that, maybe less than that, I'm not sure, should be hosting and have one of the best downhill ski jumps in the country.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It's when I started out in Bloomington, Minnesota as a ski jumper, and we'd come down here and train on their smaller hills, and they've got an unbelievable facility down here in Timber Coulee, and it's a great place to spend the day.
Wow, so people who want to come here, who don't live here and want to be a part of it, do you have a website? And
We do. It's the website's address is www.snowflakeskiClub.com, and there's information about the tournament. There's information about the skiers that are going to be here. There's information about various things that the club gets into with the junior club, with the junior skiers. And then also with the golf club too. So they have a bunch of information in there.
That's fantastic. A long time ago, way back in 1959, Jeannie and I, the first time, had occasion to go to Norway. And we, of course, visited the Holmenkollen.
Oh, yep, been there.
Isn't that something?
It's a beautiful, and they redid it. They've redone the whole thing, and they've poured millions and millions of dollars into that facility now.
What's interesting is that there are several people who came from this area who became really good skiers. They were born here, they're of Norwegian descent, and the Matheson, I remember him very well, came from here. And when did this start again? When did that jump really, I'm asking you a question out of stock here, but it started because of the Norwegian immigrants who were here, I'm sure.
Yep. And the sport started in Red Wing, Minnesota, actually. But when coming here to Westby was shortly thereafter. I believe it was in the 20s.
In the 20s.
That it started here. Might have even been sooner. I might have my information wrong. Yeah. But it's in fact, it's the 92nd annual on the large hill here. So that would bring it all the way back to, 190. So almost 100 years.
Yeah.
So it might even have been before that.
What a fine testimony to all those who came after the founders, if you will, that kept that moving. But of course, it's a good, clean, active, and exciting sport. Yeah. I don't think there's anything negative about what goes on out here on the Westby Hills here when you have your events.
No, in fact we have a lot of officials to ensure the safety of the skiers. But then also too, we have law enforcement and everybody down in the bottom just to ensure everybody's enjoying their time appropriately.
How about putting up families who come along with the skiers in that? Do we have enough room around here?
Yeah, that's one of the things that our club members and people that have done this regularly really enjoy this because they get these entire teams staying at their house, and usually they end up going to different places, different venues, and then they'll end up being in a hotel and they do their own thing. But here they get home cooking, they get people, you know, the families interacting with the families, and some of the junior tournament or junior skiers from last year had one of the teams stay with them. And they were working with them, you know, helping with their technique and everything like that. It was just, it's a great opportunity, and there's not very many places they do that.
I'll bet you have a list of people who have, you know, called or signed up with you saying, if you need room, let me know. We'll house people.
Well, it's I tell you, it's one of the things we have to. I don't get it personally, but the club and Buzz and some of the people that really do a lot of the work that way. Really, it's something we're looking at a month to 2 months in advance. So just to ensure that there's.
We'll put our name down.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, we have a little ski hill right behind part of our farm.
Perfect.
I'd like to have it tried out by someone who's a little better than I am. I mean, I don't want to risk it now, but how about, you know, the veterans and those who are in service, those who have served, you've got a good deal for them.
Yeah, we've, this is, I think, the 4th or 5th year we've offered, thanks to LHI and Don Weber, for offering the donation to take care of the gate for anybody who's in the military, currently active duty or reserve component. We'll take care, if they're active duty or reserve component or retired from the military after a full career, we'll take care of their gate and their family's gate, and anybody up to the age of 18. So it's a great, and this year they're going to get a special button. It's a yellow button, so everybody knows that they came in that way.
That's nice.
And they should be recognized for that, for what they've done. And we you know, we're fortunate to have somebody like Don Weber and LHI to be able to support this, because there's a lot of places in the country where, you know, they don't get the recognition.
I can tell you, as you know, Matt, that this whole area of Westby and Viroqua and Coon Valley and Chaseburg and these little towns around here are so unbelievably generous in helping people and in reaching out. I mean, it's kind of part of the culture.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. After I traveled when I was a competitor all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and I tell you, there was nothing better than being in this area, because it was not only Midwest nice, but Westby nice too.
Yeah, well,
so
you know,
it was a great place to be.
That all comes from you know, the culture that moved in there. Like the Norwegians are cozy, kosa, and the Finns are a little bit more, but boy, the Norwegians are really kosa, and that's why, and it carries through this whole area, even into the generations that followed through. Now, you're a judge too.
I am.
So where do you stand as a judge, or where are you located when you're judging?
If you come down to the tournament, the skiers are going to be coming down the hill, and if you look up the hill, we'll be on the right side, on that big building on the right side of the hill. And the judges, there's 5 judges for the tournament, so each one of them gets a window. And then normally I'm a judge. For this tournament, I'm actually going to be the master of ceremonies. So if you go down there, you're going to hear me on the microphone. So
that's worth the trip all by itself, there, man. Tell me, what do you? I mean, how do you judge? Now, I used to judge cattle, but my wife Jeannie laughs about that. But I know there are several points that you look for. And maybe you can tell those what they are, man.
I can. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's a little different than cattle judging.
I mean, well, you know, you look for conformity. Look for a good, you know.
Yep. So we use 3 different areas. Each judge is allowed 20 points.
Okay.
20 points each. So then what happens is they're given certain points for their flight, for the landing, and then also for the outrun
So start at the first one.
So the flight.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you look for in the flight?
What we look for is stillness, and then also an aggressive.
Which is demonstrated by what?
Their arms aren't moving, their legs aren't moving, their skis aren't moving. It's locked up. It's kind of like this, right? Yep.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Except for now, you'd have to lay on top of the table to get it right.
Well, I could do what's called the plank. You know the plank, don't you?
Yeah.
You do?
Well, yoga, right?
Yeah, I guess it's yoga. You know, I mean, the plank is where you lie prone on the ground. Maybe you can get there you go, lie prone on the ground with your arms like this, except you're straight out and you're on your toes in the back, flat tummy, and you start out at like 20 seconds a day, and then you move up to 25 and 30 and 35 and 40, until you're out like that for like 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. That's fantastic things for your gut and your muscles there.
Absolutely.
Which would be good for that flight. Okay, so there you are. It's unwavering.
Yep, it's unwavering, and then when they get out of their flight, they come into the landing.
They're coming in for an approach.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
and kind of flare out.
Well, that's how they're supposed to. It's supposed to come from a pretty seamless move from their flight into their landing. Their landing, what they're looking for, is called a telemark landing. It's where they split their feet apart, and
like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And so they land with their feet apart.
Yep.
And then they ski through, and
they
get points for that.
You want to have your skis straight ahead, of course. Like.
Yeah. Right. So, but if they don't have that, they actually get docked points, because if they don't have a telemark, they get points taken off.
So here you come like this, and can you see my hand? Yeah. Here you come like this, and then you're down like this, but then you're flaring out.
Yep.
And do you like to see them land flat on the skis or tail first?
Well,
I mean, this is a 3-wheel landing. See, I mean.
Yep. Pretty much. It's you want to see them come in, just holding their flight as long as they can until they can land. Because if they hold their flight too long, which I've seen numerous times, I've seen people land right on their chest. So I mean, they get up and they do it again. And that's the beauty about the sport. It's the first extreme sport, but it looks very dangerous. But it's in reality, it's very safe, because they're following one direction, and they're just changing that plane, and that plane is moving with them.
It's kind of a piece of cake.
Well, yeah,
not really. The first jump I tried, I was on a homemade jump, a small one, and I jumped, and the homemade jump broke. And so I did a loop.
Front or back?
No, I landed on my skis. I couldn't. I mean, there was no skill. It just happened.
Yeah.
But this thing about the flight itself, you'd kind of like to be like this, so get hold of wind. In other words, you'd have more uplift. But in reality, it's your body. Mm-hmm. That's the wind resistance that is giving you float, so to speak.
Yep, it's
Am I
actually
right about that?
It's actually both. It's the skis and the body. If you were to come and watch this tournament probably 15, 20 years ago, the skis, when they're flying through the air, would be right underneath their chest.
There you are. I remember that.
But now with this year, they do what's called the V style, and what that does is it opens up that entire plane for your body to be able to take that air on. And therefore, and it changes things significantly. We can actually ski lower speeds, and these guys can actually go further down the hill because of the way that they're skiing. Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's, we call that the principles of flight when you're training or teaching flying, but here's the principles of ski.
Absolutely.
That's very interesting. You've got a center of gravity, and that whole body has to be just kind of as one in that position.
Yep.
And you actually, when you're doing it, you can feel the air tells you as you're moving whether or not you've really got it right or not, I think.
It does. It's when you get a little gust of wind towards the bottom of the hill, it really just picks you up. But you really know it when you come off the takeoff. You either know it, or you either have it or you don't.
Okay. Yeah. So now we go from judging the flight to, you had 5 things you judge.
The flight, the landing, and then the outrun, or the after they ski out.
So we've talked about the landing and pretty much, but the minute you come down, you want to start slowing up.
Right? You got to give a little time. They give some space in there, because if we start doing that too early, we can actually deduct points. But we have a whole another up to 7 points that we can pull off. If somebody falls, because that's usually where you see the falls is after they've landed and then they fall to the side or something like that.
How about that turn in the end before you slam into the wall? I mean, do you judge that too?
No.
Okay.
No. Once there's what we call the fall line right on the flat part of the hill.
Yeah. All right.
Once the skiers are past there, it's
all right. Fine. So we got the flight and the landing, and then what?
The outrun. That's it.
Yeah.
Those 3 things.
And the distance.
And then, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, and the distance. We don't, as judges, we don't handle the distance. They
Okay.
they calculate the distance, they equate that to points on the hill, and then they take, so like I said earlier, there's 5 judges. They knock out the low and the high, and then what ends up happening is they take those up to 60 points total from the
Wow.
judges.
Wow, that's really
And then,
good.
so a normal jump, you know, for an average skier is about a 15 for each one of them,
Yeah.
for each judge. So 45 points
That's
per
pretty
judge.
good. Does any one of those points, do they have more weight than the other? For example, if you had a person who made a really long jump, longest jump in distance, but a lousy flight and, you know, this and that.
Well, what ends up happening a lot is the guys that go really far, they have a great flight, but what ends up happening is they hit, when they come into the hill, they squat, or they just to be able to stand up because they're coming, they're going so far. So they do get penalized, but at the same time, the distance points that they get are going to be worth far more than what the style reduction would be.
Really, I mean, it calls for a real athletic condition and body, trained body, and so forth. You know, how do you train a person to score on all those key elements?
Well, there's a number of things. Well, first, when they start young, they start very young. And it's more ski time. Get them used to the skis. Get them used to this. Get them used to jumping with skis, because a lot of kids, they want to ride off, and you know that's how they learn. But it's really about ski time. But then once they start getting a little older, they start getting stronger with their legs. These weightlifting. We do what's called plyometrics, where they're jumping over different hurdles and things, trying to improve that jumping power and speed that they have. And then from there on out, they do very specific sport exercises that, you know, that just ingrain. It's really the same movement across that takeoff that they're trying to learn for 15 years.
Wow.
So
My guest is Matt Keuler, and wonderful to have you on board here, Matt, talking about this big event that is coming up here. I'll hold this up here, and Janie, you can kind of zero in on it so everyone around this area knows about it. But it's the 92nd annual Snowflake Ski Jumping Tournament, Westby, and it's been going on for about 100 years. And it's happening this coming Saturday if you're watching our program on Channel 14. And maybe I can talk Randy into putting it up on YouTube as well, you know, or just to make it timely. She's always worried about if it's up on YouTube, it's going to detract from the viewers on 14, but not to worry about that. We're not quite that popular up there yet. So again, and looking and listening to you, I kind of think this is a learning curve to it, like anything. And it seems to me that if you are really committed and motivated and become devoted to this sort of thing, it's a year-round kind of training cycle, right?
you're right. You're right.
I mean, you can practice ski jumping without actually, being on the slope.
Right.
You can, be out in the field somewhere and take up the different postures and kinesthetically go through it.
Yep. A good way to do that with mental training with anything, but also during the summer they have a lot of the ski jumps around in the Midwest, they actually have plastic on the hills, so that allows us to actually ski jump just like we would here in the winter. We would just do that in the summer because the landing hill has plastic on it. Usually the tracks are made out of either steel or porcelain or something to that effect.
Okay, we're starting the ski jumping on Friday night at 7 o'clock, and then the tournament gets underway on Saturday morning.
Yep, Saturday. I believe it's noon.
At noon.
I believe it's noon.
And you ski and compete until what time of the day?
Well, what they do is they go through a trial jump, which is basically the way that the skiers get a feel of the hill for that day, depending on the conditions, and then they have 2 competition jumps that are scored.
Yeah. Okay, and then on Sunday.
Sunday's the Super Bowl. We're done.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Unfortunately, as we learned a couple of weeks ago, that it could have come out a different way.
We just don't even talk about it.
I know. It's painful.
But here, it's individual. At the end of this, do you have individual scores as to who scored the highest? In other words, you've got, how many jumpers do you expect?
Usually in the past, we've had around 30 skiers.
Okay.
I would expect about the same amount this year.
All right.
Depending on what other tournaments are going on. I know, like, for example, Junior Worlds, some of the best juniors in the world are going to compete over in Europe with Junior Worlds.
Really?
So,
No kidding. Wow.
So sometimes that we get them here depending on the scheduling.
Yeah,
and the way
I mean,
things
that's
work.
just, that's phenomenal that we have literally international skiers here, world skiers, world competitors right here in our little town of Westby. That's fantastic. Not every community can boast that.
No, they can't. And
No,
they,
it's
like I said, they love coming here too.
So now the tournament's over, and then you leave, but there's a lot of stuff to be done yet.
Well, I don't leave. I'm actually the junior club coach, so we would continue to ski, with the smaller hills that are down in Timber Coulee.
Oh, okay.
And working with the little kids from town here that are interested in becoming ski jumpers or just want to give it a try.
Yeah, that's
So
wonderful.
we keep doing that, but there is a pretty good cleanup for the tournament that has to take place.
Well, I just hand it to you and to all the people who are so involved in this ski tournament and ski jump. And I mean, talk about a gift of reaching out generously of your time and your skills. It's all voluntary, and you're doing it to help young people, but also to entertain all of us here and to bring pride, if you will, to the community of Westby and all of surrounding western Wisconsin here.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing that this size hill that they have here in Westby is equivalent to, if you watch the Olympics last year or 2 years ago now, it's equivalent to the large hill that they have there. So there is 3 other venues in the entire country which actually has this size hill, and we're very fortunate because now you to get, I'm sorry, 5. So you would have to go out to the Rocky Mountains or Park City, Utah, Lake Placid, New York, or in Iron Mountain, Michigan. So.
Wow.
I mean, it's a long ways away just to be able to find something that's
you
as exciting as we have here.
Matt, been so nice to talk with you, and it's been very exciting, and
Absolutely.
it's motivating. I'm ready to come out with you and be retrained.
Well, I hope you're going to come out.
Oh,
we'll have a
absolutely.
blast, and we'll even maybe let you come up on the judges stand and have a real good look at it.
Remember, we have many witnesses now to that, Matt. Thank you so much, and for all of you, this is your opportunity to have a super weekend here, our own Super Bowl, if you will, that fully in charge by the wonderful volunteers of our area. And thanks to all of you, and we look forward to seeing you there. And when you get there, take a look up in the judges stand, and I'll be judging the judges.
That sounds good, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And don't forget, 92nd Annual Snowflake Ski Jumping Tournament on Timber Coulee, right outside of Westby, just almost outside of Westby. Have yourself a good weekend and a good day. This is Bob Burrell, and thank you, Jeannie, and thank you, Randy, and God bless.